Hey Roomies, welcome to the Break Room Arcade. My name is Brandon Miracle. Today I'm joined by
Paul Anderson.
And we're doing our review of Dragon Ball Super Episode 80.
Oh man, I can't believe it's like the episode counts that high yet. I'm still thinking we're in like the 70s.
It's been over a year and a half, man. Been a long time.
Hit me out of nowhere.
Doesn't feel like it's been that long.
It really doesn't.
But I'm just going to kind of throw it to you to get your first just overall impressions of the episode.
I'm really excited for Gohan. Seeing him fighting and doing well at it was very exciting. Overall, though, I think that particular fight was a little underwhelming. I felt like Gohan got blinded really early. Like, I knew it was coming from the preview, but I expected them to go back and forth a little bit longer before that happened. Maybe have a little bit of struggle with it.
Okay.
Kind of set Lavender as being a little bit more a tougher opponent instead of just trickster. I did think that, having to fight blind was a really good obstacle for him, especially considering, he couldn't sense Lavender's energy. So, he really had to feel that one out, and I thought that was a really good training for him, like Goku said.
Yeah.
The ending, like the call to that fight, was bull.
Well, that's all we could really expect from the Tournament of Power, as we saw with previous fights. It did kind of remind me, though, of Dragon Ball, when Goku had to stand up and declare himself as the victor of that battle in order to win the tournament.
I think that's why it upset me. It's like, he stood up and he said, "I won." I think he should have won that.
It was a throwback to that. I don't actually care if he wins or not, because he did win the fight. He won the fight. If it's not official, whatever.
It's an exhibition, so the points don't matter.
Basically. Yeah, I thought this was a pretty good episode. I did enjoy the fight a little bit more than you, I think, just in general. I think it was cool that Gohan got blinded pretty early, because outside of that, I think probably would have won the fight fairly easily. This fight actually reminded me a whole lot of Naruto, and I think we're kind of heading that direction with Toei and Toriyama.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to see fights that aren't just back and forth punching for the whole thing.
Right.
Shows Gohan where his strengths are, because we know Gohan is the smart kid, and seeing him overcome this obstacle in the fight was kind of cool.
Well, with that too, you look at it, who his mentor is, the person who taught him how to fight, and Piccolo's strength is strategy. So it only makes sense that Gohan would fight a little more strategically than, Goku or Vegeta. But it also, for me, it was a throwback to that fight against Hit, where Goku just kind of had to learn to predict what he was going to do or anticipate him. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what Gohan was doing.
Speaking of that fight with Hit, because of those elements of the fight, I was really hyped during that battle, more so than I think I've been hyped for any kind of Dragon Ball battle in a long time.
Yeah.
It adds a whole new element and a whole new weight to the fight scenes that I feel like was missing for a long time.
Definitely.
Overall, I feel like Lavender's character was fairly weak and one-dimensional, but you can say that about the majority of characters in Dragon Ball Super, so that's not really a negative so much as it is the standard.
He had a way of coping with that, so I at least give him props for that. He knew he wasn't, straightforward fighter, so poison him.
Now, I do want to mention, so Gohan won the fight. Spoilers again.
Oh my god, he did? What?
Oh no, he won. Why did you share that information?
Well, technically he lost. Crap, I just ruined your spoil throw.
He technically lost, but he did win.
Our hearts.
But what I want to talk about is something that you kind of mentioned last week, is you were hoping that this would be a fight for Gohan in order to kind of kickstart him back into his fighting career, and, despite his performance in the fight, he still felt like he wasn't good enough, and I feel like that's going to further drive him to be better.
I think the results, the conclusion of the fight, were kind of, not reflecting on it, I think they were the perfect results. It was enough where we saw that he is a capable fighter again. There's still that element of there's room for improvement, and there's motivation for him to continue to grow as a fighter.
Hopefully this means that he'll take time to maybe train with Whis, or maybe even, actually, I think it'd be better if he trained with Goku.
I think Goku's the next step.
If he trains with Goku, at least get him to that level of Super Saiyan Blue, or help him understand, God energy and God Ki. I feel like that's the best way.
He should definitely learn how to sense that.
Oh, for sure. If you think about it, if that's the case, Gohan can't sense any of the other beings outside of his own universe.
Though I'm curious if that's exclusive to Gohan, or I think Goku mentioned that he wasn't really able to sense their energy either. So I'm wondering, what kind of energy they're packing.
Well, the Trio de Dangers for sure, but I'm saying more of the gods and the angels.
And those are definitely the beans to look out for.
Yeah, so I think we've pretty adequately covered Gohan's fight. It was fairly short in the episode. They wanted to draw more attention to kind of the big reveal at the end of the episode. It's basically a big bombshell that Universe 7 and Universe 9 are the two bottom tier universes in terms of strength of the 12.
I think that was actually a really good decision. Because that gives a giant motivating factor. They're the bottom rung, and so they have so much more to prove in this tournament than any other universe other than 9. Sucks to be 9.
Beerus and Supreme Kai were obviously really scared, but we all know that was the one thing Goku wanted to hear more than anything else.
Yeah.
Is that the rest of these guys were so much stronger than they were.
Goku's getting what he wants. Sucks to be on Earth.
There's two things that I want to kind of bring up here. So they mentioned that Universe 7's overall average was 3.83 or something, a really low number.
Right.
And then the rest of the universes were at least double that or higher.
Well, there are the 4 universes that were over 7.
Right. What I want to mention is that there are a very small pool of strong fighters in Universe 7 that we're aware of. And the other strong fighters that used to be there were all killed or eradicated by Goku, Vegeta, and the rest of the crew.
That really dropped the average.
I'm wondering if that is going to play a part in it. Frieza destroyed the entire Saiyan race.
Just imagine their standings if he hadn't.
That's what I'm wondering, because I feel like Goku is still going to be fairly strong amongst the rest of the universes there. But I feel like that average got pulled down just because of all the foes that they've defeated over the years.
Right.
The other thing that I want to bring up, so we already know that the Universe 7 average is fairly low.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to take a look at the fighters that are on the Universe 7 team. We have relatively weaker characters like Android 17 and 18, and Crillon, Tien, and Master Roshi. So if they're going in with fighters of that level, how are they going to overcome the challenges ahead?
I think there's going to be a lot of individual growth throughout the course of this tournament. I'm anticipating that it's not going to be exclusively the Saiyans. It can't be. They will not make it very far, especially depending on how it's set up with 10 fighter teams. There's the 3 Saiyans, and then there's a bunch of other humans and marginally weaker characters. If it's a point system where you have to win the majority of the fights, that puts Universe 7 team at a disadvantage.
I would like to see some growth from some of the other characters myself, and we're already kind of seeing that, specifically with Krillin.
Krilly Billy.
Krilly Billy! So Krillin is another character I want to see kind of be back in the regular team again. I want to see that with more of the characters, obviously, but Krillin specifically holds a very strong place in my heart as one of my favorite characters from the whole series. Just because, he was always so much weaker than everybody else, but that never stopped him from getting in there and trying to save everyone.
Well, there's a moment in the Resurrection F arc that I think really points to a possibility that Krillin can really rise. That he has a lot more potential than he's often given credit for just being human. And it's that he's done battle against foe after foe that is just this huge gap in power. Frieza's, the Cells, and stuff like that. It's that moment where it's, why are you afraid? You can anticipate what they're gonna do. You're used to this. I think he's just so used to fighting people that are on a different level that with the kind of change in structure where strategy is playing a bigger role, it's not just power levels, I think Krillin can really rise up.
I'm really excited to see that be a thing, if it does end up being a thing.
I'm really hoping that the structure of the tournament allows for every individual character that's there participating to shine.
And, well, because of the cast that they selected, I feel like they're not going to do us a dirty and just knock out all the weak guys. I mean, when you look at the posters, all 10 characters are side by side. No one's in front, no one's behind. They're all side by side. So I hope that means that they're putting them all on an equal plane and that everyone, like you said, has an equal opportunity to do great. So, the last bit of reveal that we got in the episode was that universes 1, 12, 5, and 8, or like you said, they have an average power level of over 7, and that they are exempt from being erased if they don't win the tournament.
I think that's kind of a nice touch.
It definitely kind of throws a wrench in between some of these universes. Obviously, it's already going to be cutthroat but I feel like this is going to raise the tension even higher amongst the different universes.
It paints a target on those universes that were chosen to be exempt.
And what's even weirder, there's a good chance that these universes are still going to try and win the tournament, even though there's no, like, repercussions for their loss.
I think they're just going to do it to be, jerks. Oh, hey, if we gain nothing by winning this, let's try and win it so no one else can that can actually benefit from the win.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of tension, and I'm excited to see that. You mentioned when this arc started, there was a big tonal shift in the series, and we're definitely seeing it here.
I like that announcement because, I mean, there's still a huge weight on Goku for being the one to, there's a lot of blame on him for being the one to remind Zen. He pushed for it. So, I mean, the whole we'll destroy the universes that don't win thing, it kind of fell on him. This eases it up just a little bit, though that weight is still there. I like that.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a bigger target on Goku's back than there is going to be anyone else there.
I'm pretty sure everyone there that has the chance of being destroyed is going to blame him.
Oh, for sure. And that's not even to say that, like, after this arc is over, that's going to be resolved. Goku may still have a target on his back even after the arc finishes.
I didn't even consider that. I'm not there in my head yet what comes after this arc. I'm really hoping that there's going to be a weight that, pleasant for him to just shake it off and move on.
There's going to have to be. Spoilers, Universe 7 survives. They're not going to die. We already know that. If the end of Dragon Ball Z is anything to say for that. Unless they decide to change it, but I doubt that. Is there any other things that you want to mention before we wrap up here?
There's 3.
Go for it.
I got this, First off, going back to our discussion last week, I did finally make sense of Lavender. It hit me late last night after I got done with the episode. He has that, poison aura thing, the smoke.
Right.
That's why he's lavender, because it's purple. And then the yellow thing also makes sense with that, because yellow is the complement to purple, and there's a lot of color going on with their team, because of the primary colors, so whole thing's the color wheel. The second thing was that I love that Hercule's a better father figure than Goku is. He actually cared about Gohan and how he was doing with the fight, where Goku's like, nah, he's got this. It's like, yeah, he's got that, doesn't mean you can't be concerned about him. Come on, man.
I read that a little differently. I felt like that was Goku being confident in Gohan and knowing that he wasn't going to fail.
Yeah, probably, but...
I feel like as a father, he should intrinsically know that, or that he should have inherent idea that Gohan wouldn't fail.
Doesn't mean he can't wince a little and fake concern, even though he doesn't need to.
That's true. He did have concern when Gohan did fight Cell, if you remember.
I suppose that's right. At the very least, I love that, Hercule being Gohan's father-in-law still really was, you could feel that bond.
Oh, for sure.
I love that, played in. The last thing that really caught my eye, and it was kind of subtly thrown in those announcements, it was that angels will not be destroyed with the universes that lose the tournament. I can work right now. It's a very small thing, but it's also very significant.
Michaela's been mentioning this to me over and over again, that she feels like this is actually something that the angels are putting together, or like the Grand Priest is behind everything, and that he might be influencing Zeno because Zeno is so young. He's being influenced enough by Goku, who's to say that the Grand Priest hasn't been doing it himself.
I don't necessarily, think the angels are very malicious in this, but it does, I think, come into play with how Whis interacts with the rest of Universe 7, because whatever happens, he'll be fine.
That's true. Though we have seen Whis care about everyone before, like when Frieza destroyed Earth, but he took it upon himself to save everybody.
That's true, too. I'm just really interested in how that relationship, how that tidbit will affect the relationship between the angels and their individual universes in this arc.
I can definitely see Bulma not being happy about this if she finds out. She's already had enough trouble with Beerus and Whis in the past. Well, I think that about covers it for this week and our thoughts going into the future of Dragon Ball Super. I want to thank you guys for listening. Paul, do you have any other things you want to say?
No, I think I got it all out.
If you like this video, please leave us a like, subscribe if you haven't yet. We'll be doing this weekly, so look out for episode 81 review next week. I want to thank you guys for watching again. My name is Brandon Miracle.
I'm Paul Anderson.
And this has been the Break Room Arcade with Dragon Ball Super episode 80. Don't break your backs, breaking the games. But for now, break time's over.